Hey everyone, welcome back to the Caliber Collective. I'm your host today, Chi Yeti, bringing you the latest deep dives into gaming, tech, and everything in between. Today we're breaking down something exciting. So grab your gear, hit that like button, and let's jump right in. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive on We the People's Devlog number 5. And boy, do they have some exciting things. The campfire scene opens up the devlog, and I think this is hinting at players being able to hang out with their friends, maybe play some music on the acoustic guitar that we see the character model holding later on in the video. This could be, in my opinion, an interactive loading screen, which would keep players engaged while the game loads, which is a cool way to add immersion. Next, we get a quick look at night vision goggles, a single tube setup, probably PSV 14s, and it looks spot on, especially with the dev's military experience and backgrounds. The free look while moving is smooth, which is crucial for gameplay, making nighttime ops feel a little bit more realistic. I like the fact that we're able to see this free look in action in a live setting using the NVGs. The hunting bow got a full gray box development showcase, which is an early untextured version, and we get to see how they drew it up and how they designed it all. It looks promising, showing the team's dedication to detail, and I'm excited to see how it plays in the final game. As a bonus, they even added in some animations of them drawing the bow, which I definitely think is really cool to see. Now we're seeing a malfunction system that they're discussing here, where guns might jam or fail, and the devs are involving us, the community, in deciding how it works. I think this is super important in the early process of development to get a lot of buy-in from your community. It's definitely something cool to see here, where we're seeing the devs ask us, the players, to take a more active role in decisions that go forth for their development team. Personally, I think that a system like this would add some realism and immersion, but I do think it needs to be balanced. Something that we see in other titles is that they fall short on jams, gun jams specifically, not really affecting AI the same way it would affect the players. So as long as they do it right, I think this could be a huge system for the game. Big news here, the team has new hires, which is huge for small indie company. This should speed up development, and hopefully it frees up the original devs, the OGs, to keep us engaged and to keep pumping out content. They went from a small team of 2 to 3 to adding more than 20 developers, designers, and artists onto their staff. It is very cool to see this team grow exponentially larger. I think this is going to be huge in the speed up of things like this devlog. I think we're going to get to see a lot more of this style of content, and we're going to see these updates come out more frequently now that they have more hands in the pot making the game. Up next, the gunplay has been completely revamped, and it looks amazing. I mean, honestly, it looks night and day different from what we saw in previous devlogs. The M4 showcase in the hangar shows crispy animations and a new spatial audio system. You can hear the reverberations indoors, which in my opinion is super immersive. I like the way that they're showing how attachments play a role in the recoil system with and without attachments. This feels pretty lifelike and definitely adds another layer to that immersion that I think is very important when we talk about PvPvE extraction shooters. Not really a huge surprise here, as all games go through this challenge, but optimization is still a challenge. Lucas talks about how they're adding level art as it's finished to the maps, which pose their own set of unique problems. Right now, they're focusing on making a few levels consistent. They want, in the short term, to really optimize and tie down optimization for the maps that they already have designed. A long-term goal is to optimize for as many machines as possible. So in my opinion, this is them saying they want to get the game in as many players' hands as possible, which I definitely think having an early focus on is so important. We see too many games today be too ambitious, too big, their aspirations are too high, and then they focus on optimization as like an afterthought. Here, we see them putting the cart before the horse, which is usually a negative saying, but here it's positive, right? Because they're thinking about us on the back end as players while they're still developing in the early stages. I think this is crucial for the game to reach a much broader audience, and we get to see a lot of new maps, including joint base for close quarters combat, nuclear, which seems like a more open and spatial forest setting map, and another one that I wasn't clearly able to identify due to some of the audio in the video being a little bit unreadable. Nonetheless, all these maps, they look gorgeous. They look like they poured a lot of heart and soul into them, and they look lived in. I think that's the most important part when you're trying to design an environment, is does it look believable? Does it look lived in? And for me, this passes the eye test. Additionally, Eric came on to talk about the inventory system and how it got a major overhaul using UE5's gameplay ability system, or GAS, which is a powerful tool for rapid improvements. This is looking a lot cleaner and less cluttered than what we saw previously in previous iterations of the game, and it lets players clearly define what goes where. We also got a sneak peek at the health system. I know they didn't really hit on that or talk about it, but it's there, you can see it. There's a fully animated character there with what appears to be organs, suggesting a detailed damage system to the body, in my opinion. Grenades, flashbangs, and Molotovs are fully functional, which I think is great, but the flashbang, in my opinion, the sound might be an issue for some, especially veterans or players with hearing damage like tinnitus. As someone with hearing sensitivity myself, I can say that the high frequency, in my opinion, although it is cool and it does add an immersion factor, I can see this being an issue for me in the long haul. If I'm constantly being flashbanged or I'm constantly getting grenaded in the game and I have to listen to the high-pitched squeal of, say, something that replicates real-life tinnitus, I could see that being an issue for me in the long term. In the short term, I wouldn't say like that's as big of an issue as some other things might be, but I can definitely see this being something that they need to refine a little bit more before they pump it out to the masses. Now on to the meat and potatoes. Player movement, in my opinion, is the juiciest part of this devlog. The variable crouch and smooth transitions between prone, crouched, and standing are immaculate. If you pay attention, you can see that they use control as a modifier and the mouse scroll wheel to slowly and smoothly transition from a standing to a crouching position. They can even change at which level they are crouching. Kind of more akin to something that we see in, say, Tarkov, or even Gray Zone Warfare, which I think is great for immersion. They also showcase the fluidity between the client and the server-side interactions. What this means for you as a player is what you see on your end, the client side, is going to look a little bit different than what somebody who is staring at you might see. Now, why is this important? Why does it matter? Well, from a first-person perspective, some animations might look clean and perfect, but if you took those same animations and you one-to-one them in a 3D setting from a third-person perspective, they might look a little bit goofy, maybe not as fluid or natural. So seeing this little attention to detail where they made two different variations, a first-person and a third-person view of the same animations that are slightly different, but they're going through the same animation frames. So essentially, the animation is going to finish and start at exactly the same time. It's going to look slightly different to somebody viewing you doing it versus you doing it yourself. I think it's things like this little attention to detail, even this early in the development stage, that shows how dedicated these developers are to their craft. Seb and the 3D art team showcased amazing weapon animations, but this, I mean, if you've been around, you've kind of grown to expect this. I'm not saying we shouldn't be impressed by it, because god damn, are these some beautiful weapon animations, and these are some beautiful models. But what I was actually more impressed with was Sviat, who led the creature art for Stalker 2, and he had a bunch of gray box zombie models in this devlog that look spectacular. For those who didn't play Stalker 2, we're going to roll through a couple of images from the creatures from that, so you just know how gorgeous and beautiful and how much time was poured into creating them. Sviat was the lead creature designer on that title, so I'm expecting big things when these gray box models come to fruition in the live game. Finally, folks, and this is a big one. Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, because We the People is finally going to be showcased again at Steam Zombie Fest from May 26th to June 2nd this year. That's right, this year you are going to get your hands on We the People. Now, what am I expecting for this? It's still in very early alpha, so I think we need to be forgiving as a player base if there are some performance issues. I'm obviously not expecting a polished product, but to be able to get my hands on this product and see how fast this dev team is now working with all the new hires, I have to tell you, I am very bullish on We the People in 2025 moving into 2026. I think this is a huge opportunity for the game to shine. So check it out and support the team. Make sure you guys wishlist it on Steam, as we all over here at the Caliber Collective will be doing. We look forward to checking out this game, following its development, and seeing it grow with all of you. Until next time, folks.